Yep, week 8, University of Tennessee. I think this is 5 of our last 6 weeks against top 10 teams. So again, just a reminder to the ball club, it's not who we play, but how we play will be important this week. I don't think there's any doubt. Some of the things we're trying to do this weekend is to keep recreating, trying to put the baseball in play, doing everything we can. No doubt our pitching staff has to show up against the top 10 pitching staff. So we need some guys, not only Sam Dutton, but others to step in the gap and get us off to good starts. That's the key to having success at home, on the road, or anywhere. Continue to finish those games. We've got more than one guy that's done a decent job with that. That'll be a necessity as well for us. Evaluate pitches. We're going to see one of the best pitchers in America tomorrow night, a left-handed hitter. Maybe keep up with skills, a guy that absolutely has electric stuff, and you probably got to come up with other facets of offense. You maybe not be able to stand toe-to-toe. So bring out all your arsenal, your gamesmanship, do some things. And I think specifically for this weekend, we're absolutely going to have to run those bases. We're absolutely going to have to take chances, risk, even at the expense of maybe looking like we're running ourselves out of something, but we have to absolutely be attentive to that and run the bases and be committed to it. We practiced at home. We've been on the road a few times just trying to change up the rhythm to have success. We elected to practice here at Plainsman Park today before taking the journey up there to Knoxville, and we're just trying to shorten the time between our best work, and oftentimes your best work is at home. So hopefully we got a good productive practice wrapping up before we head to Knoxville.
I guess just you guys announced the projected rotation for this weekend. I know there's some changes in that. Just I guess if you could just kind of walk us through the decision making in that, and then you touched on it a little bit, but just I guess a little more what you're hoping to see from your pitching staff this weekend.
Yeah, just Dutton, his consistency to continue. He's given us a great chance in game 1, and Dutton's been up against number ones all year, so nothing changes there, and hopefully he can do good work, but he's done an amazing job for that. I think he's quietly, at least numbers-wise, one of the best guys in the conference, in the SEC. I think he should be in the running for SEC Pitcher of the Year, and maybe not quite as electric, but the pitch recipe is pretty strong. But again, Sam, Doyle, all these other great pitchers. We got 3 weeks, which is almost a third of the league play left, even though we feel like we're getting down to the end. So a lot to cover there. Tilly started for us on Sunday, and the team just wanted him to, with the series and the balance, to pitch. So that's our number 2 starter for this weekend. And then Cade Fisher, who's been basically our 2 starter all year long, he could factor in what do we use in those first 2 games. He definitely could factor into that. But I think Cade, to let you behind the veil a little bit, Cade could be ready to throw out of the bullpen, could miss a start completely, or be the Sunday starter. And we had his bullpen yesterday with a couple of others and evaluating things and trying to make whatever little tweaks, adjustments, whether it's physical, mental, the whole package to try to get him going again. So he's had a good, consistent long run where we haven't moved him around or changed him. This will be the first weekend we've done that. And but we'll see how the weekend plays out. But that's kind of what's happened with Fisher, because he's been the logical 2 starter there the entire season.
Yeah, I know sometimes Tennessee can have some extracurriculars. Is that something you taught your team about to prepare them?
I think we've seen enough. I think the blessing of our schedule is we've seen everything. We've seen teams bang it like last weekend. I thought Mississippi State swung it as well as anybody we faced. We've been on the road and played on the turf. This will be our 4th turf road trip, I think. But we've seen teams that are excited and get after it and do everything. I think Kentucky is one of the toughest teams to play that brings some of the, maybe what you're alluding to, but also every bit of like, are they going to steal? Are they going to steal home? Are they going to run, bunt, stand in there, not give up any ground? So I think we're tested from that standpoint is the answer. I think we're prepared, and I don't think we have to drag into, talk about, focus on, or think about anything but the game because of what the schedule's already produced and helped us see.
It's just, you talk about a little bit about Tennessee. This is a deep offensive team, but lots of power up and down the order. What do you see out of them swinging the bat?
Yeah, 100 home runs to our 56 or something, 59, whatever we have. Ballpark is in play, which probably could favor us too. We probably can get more out of our best swings. But there's no doubt how they're created. They're created for offense. They are created to score in bunches or the 3-run homer. I think before the season, the flag we waved of command, we were right. And, making those things solos, not creating offense for a very offensive team or opponent of any kind. Command allows you to do that, your authority over the baseball, and make people earn it. I think for the most part, I've been happy with that. We're, feel like we still, wherever we're positioned now, I feel like we've had growth and still have a ways to go, but it's marked improvement. I think command's been big, and I think when you're going to play somebody in their home park that has a ton of power, that has playing in an offensive ballpark, I think command is what we talk about in making people earn it. And maybe when they get a big swing off, there's not as much traffic in front if you can command the ball properly.
You've had quite a few different lineups as you go through the year. I know a lot of it depends on the matchups, things like that. But Chris really looks like he's settling into that leadoff spot.
Man, he does, and I think I'd have to look or get George to help me, but I think he's one of a few players, and probably a handful of players in the Southeastern Conference that's walked more than he struck out in Southeastern Conference play. And he's a true freshman. And being last week's SEC Player of the Year, it doesn't matter how old you are anymore, and things of that nature. And he's settled in and swung a good bat of late. So him staying hot. I also think Guevara had one of his best weekends as a player for us, both offensively and defensively. Can that continue to carry? So I think about Chris, I think about Rembert, and I also think about how important it's been for Cooper McMurray. I think he's been huge for us as of late. That makes a huge difference. The protection behind Irish just lengthens us out so much. So everybody's important, and if we can do that, if we can get some pieces, Chris at the top, and Guevara, as good a defense he's playing to start playing consistent offense. Cooper picking up there in the middle of the lineup and doing the things that he's capable of doing, that he's done in the past, that he's doing recently. Fralick keeps doing things back there, both offensively and defensively. You start seeing length of the lineup. I think comparable to our league, in different facets, to where you're running a length of lineup. We're not going to take all our lefties out, even though there's some playing back and forth, and we're going to see maybe the most dominant left-handed pitcher in our league. So the guys are really got to be ready for a huge challenge tomorrow night. But as much as I picked and talked about, we got to pick up our offense. We got to evaluate the strike zone tomorrow tremendously. There's another point to add. Those guys would take a lot of confidence tomorrow night. Out of all the lefties they've seen through the year, coming in, evaluating pitches tomorrow, and doing a great job against Liam Doyle would give our guys a ton of confidence.
Talking about Doyle, how useful is it that the guys who were here last year saw him pitch when he was at Ole Miss? I don't think anybody on the roster now had a hit off of him, but they saw him and they saw what it takes to be successful against him.
Yeah, we know it's electric. We know it's got good ride. We know it's got great carry. Seeing somebody's good, but it feels like he's more layered now as a starter as opposed to a reliever. I think there's more pitches. There's a little cutter, a little breaking ball, the life on the fastball. And I think there's more pitches. I think it's similar to Dutton, where you go from maybe a couple of pitches in a bullpen that you're featuring in a short period of time to being a starter, seeing all these extra pitchers. So it's good to have that filed, but there's got to be new research and new preparation, because he's bringing more to the table this year as well.
Going back to Sunday, what did you like about what you saw from Cam Tilley, and what would you like to see maybe some more of this week?
Yeah, got out of that first inning. That's exactly what we needed, to have a sharp first inning. He absolutely executed that for us. He got us 4 complete, you know, almost half a game, that 4 innings, but the pitches were up there, and I thought that he had to pitch out of a bases loaded jam, and really something he created himself. And I thought for that window of time that he got off time, off schedule, the timing, his delivery just deteriorated. Closing that gap is what we need to see. So, you know, if you go off a sequence and a batter reaches, that bleeding into 2-3 hitters needs to be trimmed. And, you know, can you do that yourself? Can you take a break? Can you do that in the middle of the inning instead of having a reset in between innings? I think it's going to be crucial for him moving forward to be able to build upon last week's outing and have success. So he's got to be able to catch himself, whether it's, you know, triggered from the dugout, you know, of a reset or on time or whatever that is kind of what we've been talking about, being able to reset and get off that mound for a second, because that clock keeps ticking in this new day and time with that clock. It keeps forcing you, but if he's on time, he absolutely can get to his pitches, make pitches, and do this, or we wouldn't run him out there. But that gap needs to shrink if he gets to where he feels off time. So hopefully a strategy or two that we've discussed and talked about can play out.